What movie traumatized you as a kid? I've been seeing this one go around and thought, hey, that's a fun question. I've seen people say things like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, yeah, of course those would scare a kid, but sometimes the things that traumatize kids aren't necessarily scary. That's what makes this question fun. I've put together a list of movies that traumatized me as a kid, and here are my top 5. While flipping through the channels as a ute, I stumbled across Monster in the Closet. It shouldn't shock you that the movie itself is actually a pretty silly horror comedy, but I just happened to hit that right moment when the monster tears down a door, marches over to the police chief, and kills him with a claw that comes out of its mouth. It may not be too frightening nowadays, but as a kid in the late 80s and early 90s, this stuff was pretty scary. Going back and watching the movie now is actually a lot of fun for me. There's all sorts of silly gags and little jokes. One of the most amusing parts of the movie for me is that the main character is a news reporter named Clark, who wears glasses, and when he takes them off, he becomes irresistible to women and monsters. Does that sound familiar? Anyway, for anybody who's into cheesy B movies, I'd recommend checking it out. Again, finding myself the victim of an obscure 1986 film while flipping through the channels as a kid, Rawhead Rex scared the Fruit Loops out of me. Based on a story by Hellraiser's Clive Barker, Rawhead Rex is about an Irish demon that goes on a rampage throughout the countryside. Rex might be another giant, funny-looking monster, but seeing him smash through farmhouses and trailer parks, killing and ripping everyone apart, it was truly terrifying. This is another movie I enjoy going back and rewatching. It's definitely not silly like Monster in the Closet, and it's probably not as entertaining, but for me personally, I find it fascinating, if only for the impact it created the first time that I saw it. I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this list and what the top 5 might be, and every time I thought I had it, another movie would pop up in my head, and I'd have to rethink the order and what should be included. Before I move on to movie number 3, here, in no particular order, are some movie moments that get honorable mentions. Being fascinated by outer space, flying saucers, and alien creatures comes naturally for a lot of children. It's right up there with dinosaurs, professional wrestling, and the details of the Kellogg-Bryant Pact of 1928. Even though parts of the movie frightened me, I would always watch this whenever it came on TV. I grew up watching stuff like Star Trek and Lost in Space, and whenever my dad would watch UFO specials, I'd be right there on the couch watching along with him. It was the abduction stuff that got a little scary. The scene where little Barry is taken could fit into any horror movie. I also found the look of the aliens to be quite disturbing, particularly their eyes, and don't even get me started on the tall, spindly one. Those elements of the film are pretty understandable, but it was maybe the music that actually scared me the most. There's this melody that plays throughout the movie and somehow communicates with the aliens, and it's implied that it can somehow summon them as well. So I hid behind the couch when I accidentally learned how to play it on the toy xylophone at my grandma's house. That was a fun Saturday. This actually might be my favorite Spielberg movie now. His early movies really showed off his brilliance and passion for filmmaking. Watership Down is a 1978 animated film about rabbits. You may be asking yourself, how is a cartoon about bunnies from the 70s on this list and why is it ranked so high? Well, here, take a look. Yeah, just imagine, you're in school, it's first grade, school's still new and fun, so you don't hate it yet, and the teacher tells the class, hey, you'll be watching a movie today. So you and your friends march off to the school library, figure out who you want to sit by, the lights go off, and then Watership Down happens. Seriously, that's how it happened to me in first grade. They made us watch this. What the I don't really need to explain it anymore, and I don't want to look at it anymore, so there you go. Okay, before we get to number 1, I just wanted to say that I hope you're enjoying this video, and if you would, please hit the like button. There are plenty of movies that had traumatizing moments for me growing up, and these are only a few. I'd love to hear what movies traumatized you as a kid in the comments. If you can think of any, let me know. If I was creeped out by Close Encounters, you can only imagine what this one did to me. I'm willing to bet that if you've seen this as a kid, it would be somewhere on your list as well. In fact, all of my friends who have seen this as a kid said it traumatized them too. Fire in the Sky was based on a real event. Whether you believe all of the accounts of those involved or not, it was an actual thing that happened in Arizona in 1975. That it's supposedly true only adds to the fear factor. The movie is about a group of loggers who come racing back to town after work one night, missing one crew member. The story they told to the police was that their fellow logger had been zapped by a flying saucer and taken. The first half of the movie or so plays out almost like a crime drama, with the group being investigated as possible murderers. However, evidence of foul play happens to be very light and nothing turns up while searching the area for the missing Travis Walton. The group goes on to nearly unanimously pass lie detector tests before Travis finally shows up again 5 days later. His version of what happened matches the flying saucer story told by the other loggers, and then we get the flashback scenes. This movie really isn't even a horror movie, but the idea of being taken like that is pretty scary, and then the flashback scenes showing what happened inside of the saucer is truly the stuff of nightmares. This movie literally caused me to have trouble sleeping for over a decade. It absolutely deserves its spot at number 1. Interestingly enough, I love this movie and I'll still watch it every now and then. That's another thing I'd like to know in the comments. How many of you are actually interested in these things that scared you as a kid? Do you still find them scary? Have you gone back and rewatched them? I would recommend it. Well, in most cases. It may be good for you to go back and confront those old fears and maybe even laugh at them. Then again, I'm a weirdo. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Did you say Utes?